This is part 3 of what if Deku had a situation work, and I left off at him about to walk under the bridge and get attacked by the sludge villain. So he walks under the bridge and the sludge villain appears behind him, and then the lights appears out of Deku's notebook. And Deku doesn't realize this quite yet, but then he hears this roar. So he turns around and he sees that Lance is fighting the sludge villain, and Deku says fireball. He says fireball, wheels of flames, and he throws it at the sludge villain, and he hits half the sludge villain falls apart and falls off and evaporates, and the sludge villain regrows that part, but he did lose it, so he did get a little bit smaller. And then Deku says, alright, no. And then Deku says, black hole, and sucks the sludge villain in. Did I make him fight the sludge villain yet? If I did, I did. He makes a black hole and sucks the sludge villain in. And then All Might appears, and All Might says, have you played the sludge villain? And Deku says, yeah, he's in my pocket dimension. And then All Might says, well, can you break him out? Then Deku makes a white black hole, and the sludge villain goes oozing out. But the sludge villain is in a state of shock, because if Deku's in somebody that and they're evil, they'll see the worst fears and nightmares come life, basically. And that's what happened. So he's just sitting there in fear. And All Might says, what did you do to it? And he says, I just put it in my black hole, because he doesn't know that part is quirk. He just says, I put it in my black hole, and that's it. And All Might said, oh, well, okay. And All Might says, what is your word? Deku says, this is simulation quirk, got simulation quirk, or whatever you want to call it. And then Deku asks for an autograph, and All Might jumps away, and the second attack won't happen because the sludge villain is paralyzed in fear, basically. So that won't happen. And Deku goes home and starts training for the 10 months, training using his fire, his time abilities, his black holes, just training everything, fighting styles, just training everything. And working out. And then the 10 months is over, so he goes to the UA exam, and he meets Bakugo halfway, and they start walking to A together. And they're talking about how much points they're gonna get. Then he says he's gonna get around 260. And Bakugo says, I'm gonna get 350. Then he says, well, I'm gonna get 460. And then he says, well, we'll see about that. And then they go. I think by the time they're done with that conversation, they'll go inside and take the yield within the gym. And Bakugo doesn't rock up because Bakugo seen he was about to chip on a rock and just kicked it out the way. So he he doesn't meet Uraraka because Bahir kicked the rock out the way, so nobody had to catch Deku. And Deku didn't know that he kicked the rock out the way, but he did. And he goes inside and takes the written exam, and he finishes it like basically in a minute. And then he walks up and says that he is done. And the teacher that was in there says, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Yeah, he is." And the teacher looks over it, and he got 100. And basically, yeah, he basically got an A. Like, he got first place if nobody else gets better for correcting the wrong. He even corrected all the wrong answers, like the false answers that don't actually have an answer. He even corrected those, so he really got 120. Yeah, 120. And then he goes and waits in the like the announcement place where President Mike was saying how much the robots are gonna take and whatever. Deku says, "What are you?" And President Mike says, "Well, you're here early." And Deku says, "Yeah, I was dismissed. I just got over." And then President Mike said, "Did you do the written exam?" And Deku says, "Yeah, I finished it in like a minute." And President Mike's like, "Are you sure you got 100 on it?" And Deku's like, "Yeah, I even corrected some of the answers that wasn't right." And he says, "Oh, okay." And he says, "My name is Mike." And he says, "I know." And he basically said his quirk, which is like a sound thingy quirk. And he says whatever his ranking as a hero is, because I don't know about either. And then Deku takes a nap for the rest of, I guess, 2 hours. And by the time that the stuff starts, President Mike starts on his conversation. Well, not his conversation, announcing what he has to say. And then when Ida points out the Zero robot again, but he also turns around and walks up to Deku's desk, slamming his hands on Deku's desk, and says, "And you've been asleep this whole time. And are you? Why are you facing me if you're just going to sleep?" Knowing the whole announcement, Deku gets up and says, "Oh, why are you interrupting the whole class or the whole announcement? How about you go back to your desk and we can finish this conversation another time?" And so Ida just goes back to his desk and says, "This conversation isn't over." He sits down. President Mike finishes his announcements, and Bakugo isn't at the same area as him, and Deku isn't in the same area as Bakugo. Deku runs up, sees that people are just beating up robots. He pieces two and two together and says, "Oh, destroy the robots." Okay. So he runs in. He doesn't pull out his notebook. He just calls out Leo. Leo appears and starts destroying robots. Deku says to help anybody that is in danger. And Deku climbs on the tallest building that he can get up, and just start doing fireball wheels of flames on all the robots. It's like melting them in 10 seconds. He even steals a few points from the other students, ranking him around 200, I'll say. And in hero points, he has 100. In Bakugo, he has 100 and he has 100 in villain points and 100 in rescue points. I said Deku has 200 and I'll say Deku has 200 and 200. Bakugo has 100 and 100 in hero points and villain points. And then the 0-pointer appears on Deku and Bakugo's side. And on Bakugo's side, let's say, should get stuck. Say on Bakugo's side, Frog Being got stuck. No, because I made Frog Being get stuck last time. She gets stuck on Frog Being Bakugo's side. That one girl that can do sound beat like noise from her heart and make it like a shock or whatever. She gets stuck on Bakugo's side under a rebel, and on Deku's side Rocky gets stuck. So that's like it's basically at the same exact time they both turn around and start running full speed. Bakugo says, Almighty Explosion Punch, and Deku says, Almighty Fire Flame Punch, and they say it like they're in perfect sync. And they jump up and hit the robot basically at the same exact time. And both of the robots go like flying back. And they end up like landing back to back. You can't see it because of the big wall, but they're back to back, and the people watching is like, wow, they're in perfect sync. But they don't like think too much on it because wow, perfect sync. What's so much about it, literally. So the Deku and Bakugo goes to move the rebel, and saving them got them 60, so Bakugo has 260. Deku got 460. And I just realized I switched what points they said they were gonna get, so Deku basically got what Bakugo wanted to get, and Deku basically got what he wanted to get. But oh well, Bakugo got second place, Deku got first place. And I will leave the video off there on them going to their first day of UA. Goodbye, Shadows. See you in part 4 of what if Deku had a similar place in point.